welcome back. Thank you for popping back in. Got interrupted there in the previous stream by a power outage. Maybe the AI didn't like us talking about it. Anyway, we are expecting some stormy weather, so I'm going to hope that we are able to get through part 2 of finishing up our barn today. I also want to add the little barn quilt that we've picked all the colors and everything for on the previous stream. We picked the pattern. We're going to make a green and purple, looks like, barn quilt. I think it was green and purple. That's the one that won. Everybody help me out. In a pinwheel format, and that's going to fit into the little loft section. I'm going to put that in that frame instead of a loft. I was just about to add some stuffing and stitch up the bottom of the barn when we lost power. So we're back. I cleaned up a little bit, so I haven't got quite so much mess. Let me just plug my glue gun back in. Nope. I unplugged it because I wasn't quite sure what was happening. I didn't want it to turn back on with the power. All right, glue gun plugged back in. I have now made myself a hot cup of tea for the afternoon. And welcome. I'm so glad you guys are back. So, hello, we've got Jessica Rabbit back in the house. Jojo! Hi, Jojo! We've got Shell is back. Destiny's back. Bethany B. Hi, Bethany. Destiny's here. All right. Yes, green and purple is the one that won. So we're making a green and purple pinwheel barn quilt for inside that little loft section. And I've got my felt ready to go. So while I'm talking to you, I'm going to stuff the bottom of this barn. So let's get things moving along here, just so we're not interrupted by another power outage. And I'm just gonna, I think it might look really cute, so that's why I'm gonna just use up the rest of whatever was left in the stuffing that came with the kit. If I end up making anything else, and the plan currently is to try and make a couple other little things, I've got plenty of stuffing. So if you do run out of stuffing, remember you can use leftover chopped up yarn, fabric, stuff like that. And I think that looks pretty cute. So just going to make sure it's somewhat evenly dispersed in there. And now I'm going to stitch along the bottom, make sure all of my little tails are tucked in, and get the barn finished. So Charlie's back too. Becky's back. This is great. Thank you guys. Thank you for keeping an eye on the posts tab. I'm glad. I think Mr. InStitches was able to kind of get a note in just before everything disappeared. But yes, we lost our power. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe there's more of a storm happening somewhere other than here, because right now there's no wind and barely any rain. So I have no idea what the power interruption was. Unless, of course, it was just one of those things where they quickly take everything offline for a beat because they want to make sure that they've got, you know, relay and backup systems ready to go in case something crazy happens. Either way, it was a very short interruption, and I was able to have a little bite of lunch and make a cup of tea. So very civilized. So I'm going to get this stitched up. I'm going to jump right in to the barn quilt. We'll pick the purple or lilac and the green shade that we want to use. And then I'm going to try and make, I guess I need to make 4 little squares. 2 green and 2 purple. Cut them in half on the diagonal and then fit them together in a pinwheel fashion. So I think that's going to look really cute. So I'm going to do my best to kind of eyeball the measurements, and I'll show you what I'm doing down on the craft table when I get to that point. So I just wanted to get this stitched up, and I'm going to make a, so how nice. All of the little holes worked out perfectly, so I can make a knot and then pull what's left into the inside of the barn. So the barn is done. At least the sewing part of the barn is done. All right. So let me just make that really small. That's a little bit of yarn for the emergency kit. And so now, because I've got these little knots, I want to pull them into the inside. So let's do that. Maybe just a little bit more. There we go. There. And then I can just stuff the rest of it in. Victoria's back. Good. I'm so glad you guys were able to pop back in. Charlie's back in. We're all good. We're all popping back in. I'm glad. I am really. I mean, I guess it's kind of just. You know what? I'm just going to trim that. It's a testament, I suppose, to how often we have live streamed in the past that I feel like we've had to pop in because we were interrupted by power failure, or couldn't even start the stream because there was a power failure. Such as, you know, living rurally, I suppose. So there is the barn stitched up and stuffed. Can we just take a moment to enjoy a hot cup of tea on a rainy Sunday afternoon in early May at the craft table with companions? How very nice. I'll drink to that. Cheers, my dear friends. Okay. Barn complete. Now we want to make ourselves a barn quilt. So I will be gluing this into the frame. I have my newly organized bag of felt. And I want greens and purples. So I'm going to take this all out of the bag. So I better make myself some room here. It's a good thing I cleaned everything up earlier. I'm going to take all of this out and just slide it out and put it on the table. And I've got plenty of like small scraps and stuff. So I have, for example, a green like this. I have a dark green, and I have a minty green. So right away, those are the three greens. And as far as purple is concerned, I know I have purple. So all the ingredients of a fantastic sundae, says Becky. I agree. Cold chai tea. Oh, that sounds good, Victoria. Coffee, tea, glass of wine. It's your Sunday, baby. Whatever you like. Light, dark, or mint. I'm going to let you guys consider that. I'm going to put this down. Let's go back down to the table so that you can sort of see it a little better, just so I'm not in I'm not distracting you. Okay. So we've got, you know what, and I'll even flip it over so you can really get an idea of that. Orangey red. So mint, light green, dark green. And now let me just find the purple. I have some lilac. I just have to dig for it here. I have dark blue. Oh. It's even in my smaller, I have even smaller scraps. Look at this. This is the super small scrap pile. So I've got, depending on the purple, I like the light green, says Jessica Rabbit. I agree. So I have a few different purples here. Let me see if I can pull this purple out. Yes, I can. Great. Okay, that glue could stay in there. So I've got a lilac, however you want to say it, a dark purple, and then an even darker purple. Let's see if I can get there. So I have 3 shades of each. So Shell says not the mint, but I like the others. Okay, so now we see this red. I'm going to put them on the table here. So here's the greens. Here are light, medium, dark. So right away, I tend to agree with Shell. I also don't feel like this is a strong enough contrast. Those look nice together, but I don't like that against, it's just, this really makes the red look orange. So I think the mint is out. Lilac with the light green, says Jessica Rabbit. So here's the light green. That's a great contrast. There's the dark green. It might be too dark, but let's first of all look at the light green. And then you've got the lilac, the medium, and the dark. Again, the dark might be too dark. Those two do make a nice pairing. Light green and lilac, please, says Destiny. Lilac with light green. What Jessica Rabbit said. Yeah. I think we're going to go with the lilac and the light green. I mean, these ones are just kind of too dark. Yeah. All right, that was easy. So I'm going to put that away. All right, so the next thing I want to do is make squares that are like basically 1 centimeter squared. So let me get my sharper scissors. I'm going to get my actual fabric scissors out. Big deal. And if I measure this at about half, I'm really eyeballing this. So let's do that. And I'm going to trim up that top edge, make it a little sharper. So that, and then that fits in there. So this is a little too wide. That's okay. So I need to take off. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make, let's see where the midway point. So if I tuck this in here, so my height is good, but I've got to bring it over about, looks like 2 millimeters or so. That's about half. Okay, so then I can split this in half. So let's make sure I get that pretty much perfect. As close as I can. I'm just eyeballing. All right, so now I want 2 squares in the purple. I've got 2 tiny little scraps. These guys can go away. Push his staple button. That was easy. Ms. Rabbit, we have one of those. Mr. InStitches. You're being pinned down. I will not repeat that on the internet. Okay, so that's one, and then I want to make another one. So I'm just using that the little squares that I just made as my templates for the purple. Obviously, this isn't going to be like
where's your microphone? Perfect,
but it's this one, I think.
That was easy. That was easy. That was easy.
I love it. And I mean, how old is that?
Like 25. 30 years.
It's you've had it longer than we've been married, so that's really saying something. Okay, so I've got my 4 squares. So just so you can see how it would look if I was doing the 4 patch. This is what the 4 patch would look like. And if you want to do the 4 patch, that's all you have to do. So right away that looks so cute. And it's not even like, I'm not even finished. So that's the 4 patch, but done in like a checkerboard format. Literally made my day. You're welcome, Ms. Rabbit. So I think that is so cute. In fact, I'm even gonna, I'll show it to you the other way too. So there, that's because the lighting's a little bit different if I have it facing my bright light source. So that is the 4 square. Not bad for eyeballing it. I'm pretty pleased with that. But of course, I'm going to turn it into the pinwheel. So I have 4 more cuts to make. Hopefully I can make it look as perfect as I want it to. And then I'm going to glue it all into place. That looks so cute. Great choice on the colors, you guys. You guys nailed it, as usual. Sherry's back, guys. I'm so glad you're back. Okay, so I'm going to cut all of these in half, diagonal wise. And then I'm going to turn it into that pinwheel. So here we go. I'm going to go right from one corner to the other. That's 1. From one corner to the other. That's 2. From one corner to the other. That's 1 and one corner to the other. That is 2. Okay, whew. Now I want to place them so that, and some of them are slightly longer than the others. I'm going to make the green maybe the one on top, because why not? And I'm going to try and pair these up so that they still roughly make a square. And I'll just stuff it all in here, and then I'll take it out and glue it down. Felt is so much fun to work with. And then this one sits on its back like this. Where is that? I think I'm going to get my needle back out, because this is really handy to sort of stomp everything into place. All right, so it's not glued down yet, but that is where this is what our pinwheel looks like. I have a sticky mouse. There we go. So that's the pinwheel. Now I have to glue it down, so yeah, Shell thinks the colors go appropriately. I think so too. Destiny says, didn't think I would like the 4 square, but that looks awesome. Yeah, you know why? Because the checkerboard is a very attractive 4 square. 4 different colors can be attractive, but the checkerboard is like satisfying to your brain. This is why I'm always saying color. You change the color of a pattern and it looks like a completely different thing. Okay, so that is the pinwheel. I think it looks adorable. I'm going to glue it down. Okay, now I just have to get through the gluing. So I'm going to pull out these little squares, and then I'm going to put a little dab of glue kind of like in each of the 4 quadrants and like try to tap it back in. I hope I don't mess it up. This is the part that's the hard thing. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to lift these out. And I'm going to try and keep them in, oh my gosh, already I'm having difficulty here. So I'm going to try and keep them in order. Let's use the flat side. All right, I'm going to get my scissors out of the road. Okay, double check. Yes, it's right in the right order. Okay, so